So the news has officially landed. The former UFC featherweight champion Max Holloway will return on January 16th for his first non-title fight in over 4 years. The hugely talented rising contender Calvin Kattar will be the one who headlines the Fight Night event alongside this future Hall of Famer, and for my money, this is a phenomenal piece of matchmaking from the UFC brass. So let's take a look into what's on the line here, how these guys match up, and what the fight as a whole means for the crowded title picture at 145 pounds. Because if it wasn't immediately obvious to some of you, featherweight is truly better than it has been in years. As a matter of fact, it might not even be a stretch to say that this is the single most interesting featherweight title picture we've had since the division's emergence with the collapse of the WEC back in 2011. In that top 5 right now, we have some of the most technically innovative and fresh fighters in the sport today. Guys like Zabit Magomedsharipov, Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega, wildly different fighters who each bring their own respective X-factors to the table. Those X-factors make predicting matchups between them a highly volatile business. Any of these guys within that top 5 could well emerge as the top contender without warning. These are a very modern crop of athletes, guys who have taken lessons from the more rigid styles we've seen in MMA over the years leading up until this point. And for my money, Max Holloway is still at the very top of the pile. Indeed, his first showdown with the incredible Alexander Volkanovski was something of a dud for him, but the manner in which he rebounded to test the champ was nothing short of remarkable. That second fight was a masterclass in mixed martial arts, a bout filled with subtlety and nuance, to the point that it was almost impossible to expect the judge's reading of the fight to be an accurate reflection of what actually happened. Not to say that Volkanovski didn't deserve to win. In fact, I did narrowly score the bout for him, but all in all, that was a wonderfully dense bit of fighting from two of the best featherweights to ever do it. If I may call things to a halt for a moment, we're trying to push this channel up to the next level. We know there's been a lot of love over the last few months from all of you in the MMA Dive commenting community, so if you are enjoying this content, be sure to leave a like and a comment on the video to let the powers that be at YouTube know that we're doing something right. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, be sure to get on board now so you can stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. To put it simply, the more we get those algorithms working in our favor, the more content we get to bring to you every week. So let's get back to the video. Given my huge respect and praise for Max, one would assume that Calvin Kattar as an opponent should be nothing more than a suitable springboard for Holloway as he attempts to re-enter the title discussion. But no, Kattar is a special talent. Possessing razor-sharp boxing skills that sees him bring excellent power and technique to the table, Kattar has been something of a slow burn, given his minor setbacks in the form of losses to Renato Moicano and more recently Zabit Magomedsharipov. But the Boston finisher is a fighter who is looking more and more refined with each passing fight. I really can't overstate the quality of boxing he brings to the table, and while his desire to live up to his nickname has seen him fizzle out in the later rounds in the past, I don't see a major weakness for him on the feet. As durable as they come, Kattar's biggest strength lies in his ever-improving prowess as a finisher. With 3 brutal knockouts in his last 4 victories, he possesses a killer instinct that is going to make him a handful for Max in those opening rounds. If one thing struck me about Holloway's first fight with Volkanovski, it was his pacing and how the rhythm of the fight seemed to elude him early on. We've seen in the past how Holloway's victories see him adopt a style that is something more akin to a pressure cooker than anything else. Gradually he ups the ante as he begins to figure his opponent out, eventually swarming them, putting his superior conditioning and pressure into practice when he senses a crack in the defenses. What's interesting to me about this fight is that Calvin Kattar has a very good chance of upsetting this natural trajectory early on. When Max lost to Dustin Poirier, his lack of punching power in these exchanges was certainly a bigger factor than many had predicted, and as much as I think that Holloway is an excellent boxer, shot for shot I like Kattar's chances at doing more damage in the 50-50 sequences if this matchup is as high-paced as I expect it to be. Kattar is a very real threat in here, and I believe that Max's sense of distance and defense will need to be watertight in the opening 2 rounds to avoid any stray shots once it becomes a firefight, because Calvin brings a lot of height to the table, in many ways mirroring the former champion. Both guys stand at 5'11", and surprisingly, it will be Kattar who brings a 3-inch reach advantage to the table. That power, reach, and overall boxing pedigree makes this a very, very interesting task for Max Holloway. Do I think that it'll be enough to see the Boston native spring the upset? Potentially, but if I were a betting man, I would back the durability and veteran savvy of the Hawaiian over 5 rounds. Max is as technical as they come, a fighter of understated excellence in those moments that don't immediately jump off the screen. And while Kattar will be in it from the first bell, I expect Holloway to take 3 or 4 rounds over the course of the 25 minutes to bring home a decision. Don't make the mistake of underestimating Kattar's chances, but for me, Max is still one of the very best pound-for-pound fighters of his era. The big question is whether that will be enough to see him earn a shot at redemption against Volkanovski. In an ideal world, I would say yes. I mean, he is popular as hell with the fans, and a lot of you do think that he did enough to take home a razor-thin decision to retain his title. But you never do know, and I would not be mad at seeing Brian Ortega or Zabit getting the next shot. For Kattar, a win over Holloway would probably put him in an even better position to challenge for the title. Granted, he's not the biggest name yet, but Max is a scalp as prized as any in the game today. Either way, it is fair to look at this as a top contender fight, and depending on how it plays out on the night, perhaps it will live up to that billing in the long run. If one thing's for certain though, it's that we have an absolute gem on our hands to kick off the new year. So how do you think this scintillating clash of featherweight elites will turn out? Will it be a step closer to a new chapter for the blessed era, or will we crown a new major player in one of the best divisions in the sport today? Do let us know in the comments below. We appreciate every bit of discussion you guys bring to the table, even if some of you think that I sound like John Kavanagh. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to leave a like on the video before subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. And as always, thank you for watching.